Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat sejahtera. Okay, hari ni kita bersiaran lagi. Tu dia pembaca doa tu baru muncul. Okay, so today I will assist by A3 P2 College Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan. And my assistant today is Cik Nuris, Cik Wan Nur Ain, Cik Nur Natasha, and our pembaca doa is Encik Azril. Okay, so tanpa berlengah masa lagi, I invite Encik Azril to recite Azril.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma aftah alaina hikmataka wa anshur alaina min wazaini rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Wassallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wasallam. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Amin ya rabbal alamin. Okay, thank you Azril kerana membacakan doa. Okay, so today sekejap. Okay. So today we will do revision accounting for receivable. That is the previous year's PSPM. Okay, there are only 4 question that we will discuss for today. Okay, so saya nak share the screen. Okay, sekejap. Okay, before that semua orang dah hi kan? Tu dia, semuanya dah hi. So my assistant, please take attendance write down their names. Okay, sementara tu we are 20 of us, right? Okay, so just write down their name. Okay, yang lain tu boleh hi ke assalamualaikum ke at the comment column ya. Okay. Now I want to share a screen for the topic revision for accounting for receivable. Okay, boleh nampak tak? Okay. Okay, tu dia. So far yang dah ada Farah, Nurnisa, Farisa, Echot, Syazanani, Hana Sofia, Rafiq, Abdullah, Zulaika, Daniel, Melissa, Liana. Okay, so please write down their name, okay? Okay, so I think kita boleh start our class. Okay, I hope that everybody dah buat homework, so that senang kita nak discuss the answer. Okay, and if there is any question, just write down at the comment column, and then my assistant will excuse me, Okay, so okay, saya besarkan sikit. Alright. Okay, topic 7, accounting for receivable. Okay, PSPM 2011-2012. At the beginning of the current year, Perniagaan Omar had an accounts receivable balance of 775,000. The net sale on current year was 6 million. Okay, before we go any further, I would like you to read the question first. Okay, the question is the requirement. Prepare accounts receivable and allowance for doubtful debt accounts for Perniagaan Omar. So that you know that you have to make a T account for account receivable and allowance for doubtful debt. So now you can read the whole question and then highlight or jot down the points. Okay. So here I have highlighted a few points here. Okay. Mana tadi kita baca? Okay. Allowance for doubtful accounts has a balance of 8,050 prior to adjustment. Credit sales on current year was 17% of net sales. Okay. Masa kita baca ni, ya, it mentioned about the net sale. Okay, if it mentioned about the net sales mean sales have to minus sales return or sales discount. That means by net sales. Okay, collection of accounts receivable is 650,000 and accounts receivable RM 17,500 was written off by using allowance for doubtful debt accounts. At the end of the fiscal year, the allowance for doubtful accounts estimated to be 2.5% of balances in accounts receivable. Okay, I have mentioned to you before, okay, to tackle the question, you have to know what method they are using. So, in this question, okay, we can see that they are using percentage of accounts receivable. Okay, so you have to highlight the method first, okay, and then baru kita jawab soalan. Okay, so kita terus tengok the answer. Okay, before we do the T accounts, okay, I would like you to jot down any journal so that kita senang nak buat the T accounts. Okay, so we go one by one. Okay, accounts receivable balance is 775,000. That means this is the balance brought forward. Okay, sebab dia kata at the beginning of the current year. Okay, so highlight this point. Okay, and then bila kita baca lagi, allowance for doubtful debt accounts, balance dia is 8,050. Okay, next is collection of accounts receivable is 650,000. So what does it mean? Collection means we receive cash from customer. So I want you to jot down debit cash, credit accounts receivable 650,000. Okay, dalam soalan dia tak suruh awak buat journal, tapi I just want to jot down. Okay, bila kita receive, okay, collection of account receivable means kita receive cash, debit cash and credit accounts receivable because it will decrease the accounts receivable sebab orang tu dah bayar hutang dekat kita. Okay, and then the credit sales of current year was 17% of net sales. Okay, so this one also you jot down the credit sales equals to 17,000 multiply by 6 million. Sebab dekat sini dah cakap the net sale. Okay, so you don't have to minus any discount or return, sales return because it has mentioned the net sales. So the credit sales equals to 1,020,000. Okay, so baca lagi. And accounts receivable 17,500 was written off. Written off by using allowance for doubtful accounts. Apa maksud dia? By using allowance for doubtful accounts, maksudnya this company has using the allowance method. So, the journal is debit AFDD, credit accounts receivable. Kalau the company is using direct write-off, so debit bad debt, credit account receivable. But because of this company is using allowance method, so debit AFDD, credit accounts receivable 17,500. Okay, dekat sini yang selalu student tersilap, okay? Because the effect tau, sebab kita nak buat accounting, accounts receivable and also AFDD. So, tengok dia ada effect dekat sini. Okay, Kita dah catat all the information. Now, we're going to do the T accounts. Okay. Okay. So we start with accounts receivable, the T accounts of accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is asset, so the balance brought forward is at the debit side. 775,000. So where did you get the information? Is at the question ni yang atas sekali at the beginning ni. Okay. Okay, so that is the balance brought forward. Okay. And then awak masukkan all the information that you have just jot down. Ni yang merah ni, yang kita jot down. That's why I ask you to make your own journal entry. Okay, so the first entry is debit cash credit accounts receivable. So that means there is account receivable affected at the credit side. So you put 650 at the credit side. So what is the account? Cash. Okay, settle satu. And then another journal entry is debit AFDD credit accounts receivable. So accounts receivable is affected at the credit side. So write down 17,500 at the credit side. The account is AFDD. Okay. One more is about sales. Just now we have calculated the credit sales. Remember the credit sales is at the accounts receivable T accounts. Okay. So sales 1,020,000 at the debit side. Okay. Kenapa dekat debit side? Because debit accounts receivable and credit sales kan. Okay, so that's why dia effect dekat debit side. Okay. So after that you balance the accounts T left and right. That is 1,795,000 left and right. And then you get the missing figure here that I highlighted is 1,127,500. This is the missing figure. So this is the balance carry forward. So this is the answer of T accounts receivable. Okay, the other one you have to do allowance for doubtful debt T accounts. Okay, so allowance for doubtful debt. Okay, so the balance brought forward is at the credit side. 8,050. Where did you get this figure? At the question above. Okay. Okay, now just now we have record journal entry, debit AFDD, credit account receivable. So accounts AFDD is affected at the debit side. So write down 17,500 at the debit side. The account is accounts receivable. Okay. And then one more is because you already know the accounts receivable carry forward, so that you can calculate the balance carry forward of allowance for doubtful debt. So the formula is, the calculation is balance carry forward AFDD equals to balance carry forward accounts receivable multiply by the percentage. The percentage is 2.5%. So equals to 28,187.50 cents. Okay. So you write down at the balance carry forward. Okay, 28,187.50 cents. Okay, now you balance the accounts T left and right. That is 45. Tak ada sen ke sini? Okay, 17,500 plus 28,187.5 equals to 45,687.50. Okay. Alright. So after that, we have the missing figure here. Okay, the missing figure is 37,637.50 cents. Okay, so the 37,637.50 cents is the bad debt. So write down bad debt here. So the missing figure here is bad debt 37,000 plus. Okay, so this is the answer for allowance for doubtful debts accounts. Okay, ada soalan lagi? Okay, so far? Okay, is there any question? Is there any question from the floor? Liana kata hi. Okay, hi. Okay, is there any question? Okay, semua faham ya? Okay, good. Now we proceed to next question. Okay, so that is for PSPM 2011-2012. Now we proceed to next question. This one I gave you the extra question for SIC question. Okay, that is PSPM 2015-2016. Okay. Okay, so we read the question. Okay, the following information is obtained from Perniagaan Permaisuri record on 1st April 2014. Okay, accounts receivable 76,500. Okay, before you read other information, read the required first so that you know what you have to do. So the requirement is to calculate balance of allowance for doubtful debt on 31st March 2015. Ini saja soalan dia. Balance of AFDD. Okay. Information. During the financial year ended 31st March 2015, Perniagaan Permaisuri recorded sales on account. Apa maksud sales on accounts? Maksud dia the credit sales is 155,000 with cash collection 107,000. Okay, during this period, Perniagaan Permaisuri has write-off a customer's debt of 5,000. Okay. Before that, this company use which method? Allowance method or direct write-off? You have to determine first, which method they are using. Macam ni kita nak tahu they are using which method. Okay, daripada awal kita baca, ada tak cakap pasal allowance for doubtful debt ke apa ke? Tak ada kan? So that's mean dia guna direct write-off. Okay. And then, baru dia tulis, during current financial year, Perniagaan Permaisuri intends to create an allowance for doubtful debt. Baru dia nak create allowance for doubtful debt. So that's mean before this, dia guna method direct write-off. Sekarang baru dia nak adakan method allowance. Okay? Okay. Of approximately 1.5% on the balance of accounts receivable. Okay. Then dia nak guna method allowance, percentage of accounts receivable. So that you know. Okay. If they are using percentage allowance, percentage of accounts receivable, maksudnya it's not simple. You have to do the T accounts for accounts AFDD. Okay. Now next, okay, the requirement is to calculate the allowance for doubtful debt. Okay, you can calculate or you can buat the T accounts. I think better you make the T accounts for allowance for doubtful debt. It is more easier. Okay, now we go through the question again and then you jot down the journal entries. Okay, so during the financial year ended 31st March 2015, Perniagaan Permaisuri recorded sales on account 155,000. Sales on account tadi apa? Credit sale. So that's mean debit, accounts receivable and credit sales 155,000. Just note down, yeah. And then cash collection, maksudnya kita collect cash, so means kita receive cash 107,000. So write down debit cash, credit accounts receivable 107,000. Okay. During this period, Perniagaan Permaisuri has write off, kan? Write off the customer debt of 5,000. So debit, bad debt, credit accounts, receivable 5,000. Kenapa kita debit bad debt bukan AFDD? Because masa ni dia guna direct write off method. Okay. So you have to know the difference between allowance method and direct write off method. Okay. Kenapa kita nak jot down all the journals? Because to calculate the balance of allowance for doubtful debt, you have to know the amounts of accounts receivable balance carry forward. That's why you have to make T accounts for accounts receivable first. Okay. So, accounts receivable, T accounts, we start with the balance brought forward. Okay, the balance brought forward is 76,500. Where did I get this figure? At the question atas sekali tu. Yeah? Okay, and then you go to your ledger, journal yang kita jot down tu. Okay, so you can see that debit accounts receivable. Okay, so accounts receivable is affected at the debit side. So write down 155,000 at the debit side. Okay, and then what is the accounts? The accounts is sales. Okay, finish yang journal atas. Now we go to the second journal. It also have accounts receivable. And the accounts receivable is affected at the credit side. So you go at the credit side, you write down 107,000. So the accounts is cash. Okay, one more journal entry, debit, bad debt and credit accounts receivable. That's mean accounts receivable affected at the credit side. Lagi satu is 5,000. So you write down 5,000 and the accounts is bad debt. Okay, that's all yang ada dekat question. So that you balance the accounts left and right. That is 231,500 left and right. And then the missing figure is at the credit side 119,500. So this is the balance carry forward. Okay. Kenapa kita buat accounting for account receivable? Because we want to know the balance carry forward. Why kita nak tahu the balance carry forward? Because kita nak calculate, apa soalan? Kita nak calculate the AFDD. Okay. Now, the balance carry forward of accounts receivable is affected dekat mana AFDD? Is affected at the AFDD punya balance carry forward. Okay. So now kita nak kira. Kita nak calculate the allowance for doubtful debt at 31st March 2014. Okay, the formula is percentage darab dengan balance carry forward accounts receivable. Okay. So the formula is the percentage multiply by balance carry forward accounts receivable. To make it clear, okay, so this is the answer. That's why kita bersusah payah nak cari balance accounts receivable punya carry forward, because we want to calculate the balance for doubtful debt, AFDD. Okay, so 1.5% multiplied by 119,500 equals to 1,792 and 50 cents. So this is the answer. Okay, so macam mana? Is there any question? Siapa yang terkeluar tu? Ain. Okay. Okay, is there any answer? No, madam. Nadira kata no, madam. Okay, so maksudnya boleh faham ya? Okay. Okay, normally in PSPM, accounts for receivable, dia tak ada specific question. Normally dia campur-campur dengan another topic punya question. Yeah? Okay. So, I think we proceed to another questions. Okay, is there any question? Please write down at the comment section. Yeah? Okay, next question is PSPM 2017-2018. Okay, the financial information of Anggun Berhad at 31st July 2017 was as follows. Okay, the particular here, okay, we read the requirement first. Okay, the requirement: prepare the journal entry to record the bad debt expenses using the following methods. Okay, first Roman, 1% from net credit sales. Okay, if you are using the method of net credit sales, it's simple, very simple. And 2 Roman is 5% from accounts receivable. Bila method accounts receivable ni, dia ada beberapa jalan kerja that you have to do. Okay. Now, we look at the answer. Okay. 1% from net credit sales. When it said net credit sales, mean the credit sales, you have to minus the sales discount or and sales return, if any. Yeah. Okay, now at the question, we can see that the credit sales is 800,000, right? And then the sales return and allowances is 50,000. So we are using the net credit sales. So to calculate the net credit sales, you have to minus the sales return. Okay. So
Madam,
yeah.
Hana ada tanya.
Okay, Hana. Kalau saya letak sales dekat accounts receivable tu credit sales je, then saya tolak cash boleh ke yang PSPM tadi? Okay, sekejap kita tengok balik. Mana Hana, ini ke? Okay, sekejap tengok je apa soalan dia. Kalau saya letak sales dekat accounts receivable tu credit sales je, then saya tak tolak cash boleh ke? Tak tolak cash. Dapat sama ke jawapan? Tak sama kan jawapan dia? Sebab apa kita buat account receivable ni? Sebab cash sales tu yang kitanya collection tu pun di effect dekat accounts receivable. So awak kena buat macam saya buat ni. So whatever yang berkaitan dengan accounts receivable, you have to calculate. Yeah, you have to masukkan the calculation into the accounts receivable to get the balance carry forward. Hana jawab apa? Sekejap Dapat jawapan balance CF sama. Dapat jawapan sama. Maksudnya apa? Macam mana boleh sama Credit sales is 155,000 and then plus the balance brought forward 76,500 plus 155,000 is 231,500. So macam mana dapat, kalau awak tak tolak cash, macam mana nak dapat balance brought forward dia sama? Cuba awak tulis sikit dekat komen tu macam mana awak dapat jawapan balance brought forward sama, Hana?
Tapi madam,
Yeah.
bukan ke kalau kita dah buka account receivable, kita kena masukkan semua butir yang ada kena-mengena dengan account receivable. That's why madam buat kan, cash
That's why. Betul. Yeah. That's why saya buka account receivable. Whatever yang ada berkaitan dengan account receivable, kita masukkan dekat situ. Okay. Tapi Hana kata dia tak tolak cash, tapi dia dapat jawapan balance accounts brought forward yang carry forward dia sama. Ending balance dia sama. Tu saya tak tahu macam mana dia dapat. Okay, so kalau Hana dapat tulis dekat komen tu, apa equals to 119,500, macam mana? Saya letak credit sales 48,500. Okay, ni Hana jawab Saya letak credit sales 48,500. Saya dapat 48,500. Then dekat belah kredit saya tak tolak cash. Oh, maksudnya 155,000 minus 107. Yeah. Okay. Okay, dari segi apa? Dari segi pengiraan markah, kalau awak terus tolak, awak tak buat cara macam ni, awak boleh hilang markah banyak lah. Sebab sepatutnya dekat account T tu, you have to show detail one by one. Okay, memang you akan dapat yang sama. Sebab sales credit awak tolak siap-siap dengan cash receive kan. Okay, memang dapat jawapan yang sama, tapi if dari segi pengiraan markah kan dia akan tick satu-satu. For your account T, maybe you will lost 1 or 2 marks. So I think better kita buat detail one by one properly. Okay, boleh Okay. Okay, good question Okay, is there any question so far? Ada lagi tak soalan? Hana kata dah faham. Okay, good. Okay, so kita continue with the question PSPM 2017 and 2018 just now. Okay, now kita dekat mana Okay, kita still at 1 Roman. 1% from net credit sales. So, how to calculate the bad debt using net credit sales is dia punya formula direct saja. So that's mean 1% multiply by net credit sales terus dapat bad debt expenses. That's why this method is very simple. So kita terus jawab soalan. Firstly, you write down the dates, 31st July, debit, bad debt expenses and credit allowance for doubtful debt. Kenapa credit allowance for doubtful debt? Because they are using allowance method. Okay, to record bad debt expenses. So the calculation is Okay, 800,000 is the credit sales. So minus 50,000 is the sales return. And then multiply by the percentage, that is 1%. So equals to 7,500. So this 7,500 terus jadi bad debt expenses. Okay, so this is one method. Okay, the another method is percentage from accounts receivable. Okay, so to answer the second Roman, you have to do the T accounts for allowance for doubtful debt. Okay, so I think better you buat the T accounts because it is simple for you to understand. Yeah. Kalau awak dah terror, maksudnya awak dah boleh tangkap, okay, just buat calculation je yang saya highlight biru ni pun boleh, Tapi if you think takut tersilap, better you buat accounts T. So here I also show you the accounts T for allowance for doubtful debt. Okay. So balance brought forward is 2,000. Mana dapat 2,000? Dekat soalan kan? Contoh, mana soalan tadi? Allowance for doubtful debt is 2,000. So this is the balance. Okay, satu je maklumat dia. Okay, and then balance carry forward macam mana dapat? Okay, so I repeat, balance carry forward AFDD equals to balance carry forward equals to balance carry forward accounts receivable multiply by the percentage. Okay. Now, kita dah tahu the balance carry forward accounts receivable is 160,000. Okay, ada dekat soalan kan? Okay. Yang ni jangan tolak dengan sales return sebab dia kata balance carry forward of accounts receivable. Okay, so 160,000 times dengan dia punya percentage is 5% equals to 8,000. So 8,000 is the balance carry forward for AFDD. Okay, so since itu saja maklumat, so you balance the account left and right, that is 8,000 left and 8,000 right. So you get the missing figure is 6,000. So what is the 6,000? 6,000 is the bad debt expenses. Okay. Then barulah kita boleh buat the journal entry. So debit, bad debt expenses, credit, allowance for doubtful debt 6,000. Okay. So kalau awak tak nak buka account T pun is okay because the item only 2. Kan saya kata hari tu masa kita buat chapter topik 11, if the item only 2, just tolak aja baki awal, tolak baki akhir. If the item is more than 2, that is 3 and above, then you can make the T accounts. But it's up to you which one you prefer. Okay. If you want, if there is only 2 item, so baki akhir minus the baki awal. Okay. So this is the calculation. 5% times 160,000 is the ending balance minus 2,000 is the opening balance. So equals to 6,000. So also can. So which you prefer? As long as you show the working calculation. Okay. Okay, so far boleh tak? Is there any question so far? Okay, so in this question we can see that the difference of calculation of bad debt using percentage of net credit sale and also percentage of accounts receivable. And remember, if they are using percentage of accounts receivable, you have make a T accounts for allowance for doubtful debt. That is better for you to calculate the bad debt expenses. Okay. Okay, so we proceed to question 4. Okay, question 4. Okay. This is PSPM for 2018-2019. Okay. So, Perdus yang Berhad began its operation on 1st January 2016. Okay, before we go any further, read the question first. The question is the requirement. The requirement asks you to prepare journal entries to record the above transaction. Ignore the narration. Okay, that's mean you just only do the journal entries. So there are 2 years, 2016 and 2017. So that's mean at least you have to make a journal entry. Berapa item ni? At least ada 7. 3 in 2016 and 4 in 2017. So there is 7 journal entries that you have to record. Okay, now we read the question one by one. Okay, Perdus yang Berhad began its operation on 1st January 2016. During its first 2 years of operation, the company completed a number of transactions involved credit sales, accounts receivable collection and bad debt. These transactions are summarized as follows. Dia suruh kita buat apa? Dia suruh kita buat journal entry. Okay, so now kita terus buat journal entry. Okay, now we look at the answer. Okay, for 2016, okay, first sold 236,000 of merchandise which had a cost 189,000 on credit. Okay, on credit maksudnya secara hutang lah. Okay, so sold tu means sales, cost tu means cost of goods sold. Okay, now kita buat cost of goods sold, debit, cost of goods sold and credit inventory. 189,000, 189,000 debit and credit. So narration dia kata ignore, so you don't have to do. Kalau tidak nanti ambil masa. Kita nak kejar masa kan. Okay, settle for transaction 1. Okay, transaction 2. Receive 115,000 cash in payment of accounts receivable. So, when we receive cash, we debit debit cash 115,000 and credit accounts receivable 115,000. Okay, settle transaction number 2. Okay, transaction number 3. In adjusting entry for the year ended 31st December 2016, the company estimated that 1.4% of the accounts receivable would be uncollectible. Okay, kenapa I highlight the 1.5% of the accounts receivable? This is the method. That's mean the company use percentage of accounts receivable method. Okay, so kita kena buat apa? So that's mean we have to make journal entry for bad debt expenses. Okay, so we know that the journal is debit bad debt expenses, okay, and credit allowance for doubtful debt. But what is the amount? So to get the amount, firstly you have to calculate the balance carry forward of accounts receivable. Okay, so to calculate the balance carry forward, maksudnya baki akhir accounts receivable equals to, okay, we already have the journal entry for transaction 1 and 2. Transaction 1, Okay, accounts receivable is at the debit side. Okay, and transaction 2, accounts receivable is at the credit side. That means tolak. So accounts receivable equals to 236,000 minus 115,000. So sama dengan berapa jawapan dia? Sama dengan equals to 236,000 minus 115,000, 1 to 1,000. Okay. Okay, in this case, saya tak buka account T for account receivable. Why? Because only 2 item. So, if 2 item, ending balance minus opening balance. That's all. Yeah, you don't have to make the T accounts. Macam soalan yang tadi, I make the T accounts because there are a few transactions. So better for you to open the T accounts. But this time only 2 items, so tak payah buka T accounts. Yeah, tolak saja. So now the balance carry forward of accounts receivable equals to 121,000. So to calculate the bad debt is accounts AFDD, allowance for doubtful debt ending minus allowance for doubtful debt opening. Sebab dia tak ada transaction yang banyak. Okay. So ada dekat bawah the calculation. Sekejap Okay. So the calculation for bad debt. Okay, this one also you don't have to open the T accounts because only 2 item. So okay, how to find out the AFDD balance carry forward is balance carry forward accounts receivable, that is 121,000 times the rate, that is 1.5%. Okay, minus opening AFDD, tak ada, kosong. So the answer is 1,815. Okay, so that is the answer for bad debt expenses. Okay, susah tak? Okay, so yang ini jawapan dia adalah 1,815. Okay. Okay. So that the third transaction, okay, because they are using the percentage of accounts receivable to find out the bad debt expenses. Firstly, you have to calculate the accounts receivable balance carry forward. Okay. Once you get the balance carry forward for accounts receivable, then you can calculate the AFDD balance carry forward. How? By balance carry forward accounts receivable multiplied by the percentage. Okay. So, because this question didn't have the accounts brought forward for AFDD, so you get the answer 1,815. Okay, boleh faham tak so far? Is there any question so far? Okay, kalau Ain ke siapa? Azim? Azim ada dalam ni? Okay. Ain ke Azril ke nak tanya, ya? Pun boleh. Okay, Nuris ke Tasha nak tanya pun boleh Okay.
Cikgu nak tanya boleh?
Boleh?
Yang nombor 1 tu, kenapa dia tulis, kenapa dia guna cost of goods sold dengan inventory?
Oh, okay. Good question So, sekejap saya tengok balik. Okay, selalunya kita buat journal for sales only kan? Okay, selalunya kita buat bila ada jualan secara kredit, okay, if there is a sales on credit, so we only make journal for debit accounts receivable and credit sales. Okay, but this question have a cost. Cost, that's mean cost of goods sold. Ini macam kita belajar inventory kan, ada cost of goods sold. Okay, so pada tahun ini, student ditanya soalan begini. Okay, so itulah. Okay, so kita ambil iktibar lah if there is a question, ada sales and ada cost. Okay, so that's mean you have to make 2 journal. One is at the cost. Cost tu cost of goods sold. Okay, contohnya apa? So, for example, this pen. Okay, we buy at the price of RM1. Katakan kita beli dengan harga RM1. Okay, the RM1 is the sales amount. Okay, but the cost is maybe 80 cents. Okay, so that means you have to know how to differentiate sales and also cost. So cost is cost of goods sold and sales is harga yang kita jual. Okay, so back to Nuris saya tanya tadi. Okay, back to the question. Because the question here have sales of merchandise and also have cost of merchandise. So you have to make 2 journals. One is at the cost amount and another one is at the sales amount. Okay, boleh tak? Ini pun sebenarnya baru kan? Normally kita buat sales saja. Kan? Bila sales credit tu kita buat sales saja. Tapi soalan tahun ni ada pula cost. Okay. So harap tak adalah awak punya PSPM kali ni tak adalah berita-berita tergempar macam ni, kan? So if there is the same question, okay, ada sales, ada cost, so you have to make 2 journal. Okay, boleh Nuris?
Boleh cikgu.
Okay. So okay, we continue the other journal on 2017. Okay, 2017. Okay, that's mean balance from 2016. Okay, that's mean balance carry forward in 2016 akan jadi balance brought forward in 2017. Okay, for certain accounts. Okay, so for first transaction in 2017 is sold 318,000 of merchandise which had a cost 236,000 on credit. Okay, so ini sama macam 2016 tadi. So, kita mesti ada 2 journals. Okay, first journal is on cost of goods sold. Okay, 236,000 and credit inventory 236,000. Okay, the other journal is on the sales. So, because the sales is on credit, so debit accounts receivable. Credit sales 318,000. Okay, settle. For transaction number 2, write off 450 uncollectible accounts receivable. Okay, so for the year 2016, the company use allowance method. Betul tak? Macam ni kita nak tahu dia guna allowance method because dia dah tulis dekat sini 1.5% of accounts receivable. This is the allowance method. If they are using the allowance method, so for the first time, they declare the bad debt, debit bad debt and credit allowance for doubtful debt. Okay, so in 2017, dia write off 450 uncollectible accounts receivable. Okay, so that's mean apa dia punya journal? Debit allowance for doubtful debt. Because in 2016, we already debit bad debt and credit allowance for doubtful debt, right? Now, allowance tu maksudnya macam anggaran kan? Okay, now in 2017, dah sure 450 uncollectible. So that's mean you have to write off the allowance for doubtful debt. So debit allowance for doubtful debt and credit accounts receivable. Jangan buat debit bad debt expenses. Sebab apa? Kita dah declare bad debt expenses in 2016. So in 2017, dia nak write off the uncollectible accounts. That's why debit allowance for doubtful debt and credit accounts receivable 450. Okay, boleh faham tak yang ni? Members on the floor boleh faham tak? Okay. Siapa yang tak ada ni? Nuris, semua ada? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ain. Oh, Ain tak ada gambar. Okay. So, we continue. Okay, with the question. Transaction 3. Receive 215,000 cash in payment of accounts receivable. So, if we receive cash, so debit cash, credit accounts receivable. 215,000. Okay, I think this is no problem. And then we go to transaction 4. Okay, in adjusting entry for the year ended 31st December 2017, the company estimated that 1.5% of the accounts receivable would be uncollectible. So ini dia nak buat anggaran for the new bad debt. Okay, so debit bad debt expenses and credit allowance for doubtful debt 1,988. Okay, macam mana dapat figure 1,988? Semua orang dapat tak figure ni? 1988. Buat homework tak? Dapat tak figure ni? Okay, so the calculation is like this. Okay, so firstly we have to calculate apa? We have to calculate the accounts receivable balance, right? Okay, so the accounts receivable carry forward. Okay, firstly, sebab dia guna percentage of accounts receivable, so we have to calculate the accounts receivable baki akhir equals to, okay, so we look at the journal we have did for transaction 1 to 3, ada kan accounts receivable, so debit 318,000 mean plus, credit account receivable mean minus 450, and third transaction also credit account receivable 215,000. That's mean you have to minus. Yeah. So the calculation 236,000 minus 155,000 ni yang mana? Ini adalah balance brought forward. Mana kita dapat amount balance brought forward ni? daripada 2016. Okey, kita tengok balik 2016 sekejap Macam mana dapat tadi 2016? Yang ni. Kan? Okey. Okey. Kan saya kata balance carry forward 2016 akan jadi balance brought forward 2017. Okay, so balance brought forward accounts receivable 2017 is 121,000. Okay, so that's why yang ini. This is the calculation. This is the balance brought forward. Okay. Okay, so 236,000 minus 155,000 is 121,000. This is the balance brought forward. Okay, kalau awak nak buat accounting pun bagus. Okay, so tadi saya dah tunjukkan how to make the accounting. Now I show you how to make only the calculation. Okay, so this is the balance brought forward for accounts receivable. You get from the balance carry forward 2016. And then 318,000 minus 450 minus 215,000. Okay, yang ni kita dapat daripada mana? Ni kita dapat daripada the new journal that we have made. This one. Okay. 318,000. Okay, yang saya highlight biru ni. 450 sebab dia kredit kita minus. And then 215,000 sebab dia kredit pun kita minus. Okay, now you get 223,550 for accounts receivable carry forward. So, accounts receivable carry forward kita gunakan to calculate the accounts allowance for doubtful debt balance carry forward equals to 223,550 multiplied by the rates, that is 1.5%. So, equals to 3,353. So, yang ni kita letak dekat mana? Okay, because of ini adalah balance carry forward. So, dekat accounts TAFDD, kita letak dekat balance carry forward. Okay. Alright. So, for accounts TAFDD, we already know the balance brought forward and balance carry forward. Okay, and another one is 450 ada dekat sini. Journal at transaction 2. Allowance for doubtful debt. 450 at the debit side. So, you put 450 at the debit side, that is accounts receivable. Okay, after that, you balance left and right, debit and credit, 3,803. Okay, 3,803. And then the missing figure is that I highlighted in yellow, 1,988. So this missing figure is the bad debt expenses. Now you can write the journal. Okay, the journal is debit bad debt expenses, credit allowance for doubtful debt, 1,988. Okay, dapat ke tak? Okay, dapat ke? Tak ada soalan? Okay, yang lain mana senyap aja? Topik ni actually dia memang technical sikit. That's why you have to understand. Okay, you have to fully understand. Sebab dia technical. Awak kena ingat account receivable carry forward and then AFDD carry forward. Macam tu. Okay, Chot kata dapat madam, dia cakap Rafiq pun kata dapat. Okay, so Alhamdulillah. Okay, so is there any question so far? Saya tunggu sekejap. Is there any question? Okay. So, ada lagi tak? Tak ada dah soalan. Oh, ada lagi satu soalan. Okay. So, we proceed to another question. Boleh Okay, question 4. That is PSPM 2019-2020. Okay, this is the question. Last year. Okay, last year PKP. Masa ni PKP. So, this question sebenarnya ada tapi your senior tak buat. Sebab masa tu PSPM dimansuhkan because of PKP. Okay, so this is the question. Okay, so we look at this question. The following information of Lavender Enterprise for the year ended 2018. Okay, kita tengok dulu what is the requirement. 1. 1 Roman, calculate the bad debt expenses for the year 2018 using allowance method percentage on net credit sales. Kalau on net credit sales ni simple, betul tak? Okay, so yang kedua, 2 Roman, show the journal entry to record the write-off of bad debt and bad debt expenses. 3 Roman, prepare allowance for doubtful debt accounts. 4 Roman is prepare statement of profit or loss. And 5th Roman is to show extract of financial position. In relation to accounts receivable presentation. Maksudnya, dekat financial position tu, tulis bahagian accounts receivable sahaja. Okay, now we look at the answer. Okay, for answer 1 Roman. Okay, calculate apa tadi? Calculate the bad debt expenses for the year 2018 using allowance method percentage on net credit sales. Okay, from the question, to calculate the bad debt is very simple. Okay, from the question, we can see that the net credit sales is 72,000 and the percentage is 5,000. So the answer is 3,600. Okay, very simple. Okay, you look at here. Yeah, the total net credit sales. When it already give you the net credit sales, so you don't have to minus discounts or return of sales. Yeah, sebab dia dah kasih net, tak payah nak tolak-tolak lagi. Okay, so we move to 2 Roman question. Okay, show the journal entry to record the write-off of bad debt and bad debt expenses. Okay, so journal entry to record the write-off bad debt, debit, allowance for doubtful debt. Kenapa allowance for doubtful debt? Because this company is already use the allowance method. Okay, so we debit allowance for doubtful debt and credit accounts receivable 240. Macam mana dapat 240? Because look at the question is it's already given 240. Okay, so next question is to record bad debt expenses. Okay, bad debt expenses is debit bad debt expenses, credit allowance for doubtful debt. Okay, macam mana kita dapat? This one, they use the net credit sales kan? That we have calculate in 1 Roman. Okay, so debit bad debt expenses 3,600 and credit allowance for doubtful debt 3,600. Okay. Is there any question so far? Tak ada. Okay. Alright, we proceed to question 3 Roman. Okay, the 3 Roman, they ask you to open the T accounts for allowance for doubtful debt. Okay, so this question, balance brought forward. Okay, the figure is in the question 3,000. Okay. And then you look at the 2 Roman question. Okay. At the 2 Roman question, that is debit allowance for doubtful debt. Okay. So in the T accounts AFDD, you put 240 ringgit at the debit side. Okay, that is accounts receivable. Okay, the other journal is debit bad debt credit allowance for doubtful debt. So it affected AFDD at the credit side. So you write 3,600 at the credit side. Okay, so this is bad debt expenses. Okay, now there are no other information. So you balance the account left and right, 6,600. And then you got the missing figure here is 6,360. So 6,360 is the balance carry forward. Okay, so this is the answer for accounts allowance for doubtful debt. Boleh ke tak? Boleh. Okay. We proceed to another question. Statement of profit or loss. Okay. So this is the simple statement of profit or loss because the information tak banyak kan. Okay. So we start with sales. Sales must be credit sales plus cash sales. Okay. So this information you can get at the question above. Okay, so the sales equals to 73,600 minus cost of goods sold. Okay, cost of goods sold pun dia dah bagi dekat soalan atas. That is 54,000. So you can get the gross profit equals to 19,600. Okay, so gross profit minus operating expenses. Okay, okay, so the operating expenses, okay, kita tengok dekat soalan sekejap dekat atas. Okay, all the figure, okay, saya dapat dekat sini ya. Okay, cuba baca. Total expenses excluding bad debt expenses is 5,940. So that's mean this is the, apa? This is the expenses excluding bad debt. Okay, now when you make the statement of profit or loss, okay, in the operating expenses, you have to include bad debt. Okay, bad debt we has just calculate just now is 3,600. And then other expenses as per question is 5,940. So total operating expenses is 9,540. So gross profit minus expenses, you gain net profit 10,060. Okay, is there any question so far? Tak ada? Okay, we proceed to last question. That is financial position. Okay, financial position tadi dia dah cakap apa? Yang related to accounts receivable only, right? Nah, the one that I highlighted. So, firstly, write down the title. Okay, the title is Lavender Enterprise Statement of Financial Position bracket extract. Why we put extract? Because kita nak buat account receivable sahaja. As at 31st December 2018. Okay. So, accounts receivable is current asset. So, write down the current asset. And then write down the accounts receivable is 38,600. Where did you get this figure? Mana dapat figure ni? Okay. Ada dekat question. Okay. So, minus allowance for doubtful debt. Allowance for doubtful debt yang kita kira tadi is 6,360. So, equals to 32,240. Okay, 32,240 is net realizable value. So, write down net realizable value then awak dapat markah. Okay. So I think this is the last question. Ada lagi tak? Tak ada. Okay. Berasap. Okay, so is there any question? Is there any further question? Tak ada. Tasha tak ada nak tanya? Nuris? Azril? Ain? Tak ada. So members on the floor? Boleh faham? Okay, so I want you to watch the video again, okay, and do some improvement in this topic, sebab this topic macam susah sikit, Okay, so if there is no further question, so I think kita boleh habiskan our class. Okay, okay, before that, I invite Saudara Azril to recite Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-As.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asri innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa 'amilus solihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Amin. Tasbih Kafarah dah baca? Dah Okay. So, sekejap macam biasa, sebelum kita ni saya nak tangkap gambar dulu dengan member yang ada dekat konti. Okay, so okay, saya tangkap gambar. Semua hi. Bye. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So if there is no further question, okay, Chot kata thank you madam, welcome, you're welcome. So saya akhiri dengan Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, bye.